Welcome everyone to the seventh edition of Imagine This Women's Film Festival. Thank you so much for joining us for the Shorts Program 8. Right now, we're gonna have the filmmakers introduce themselves and give us a short description of their projects. Whoever wants to go first, go for it. How about Josie?
Okay, my name is Josie. Thanks for having me here today. My film in the festival was Wannabe, about a 90s girl group who has to decide between working with their lead singer's rapist or giving up on their dreams.
Thank you. Tatiana?
Hi, my name is Tatiana, and the film in the festival is Dawn, and it's about the personification of dawn, like the time of day. And she has kept the world in darkness for a couple of days, and so she seeks out company at the Supernatural Rehabilitation Center. So it's a really quirky, poetic dialogue piece.
Thank you. Cornelia?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Amelia Haynes, and my film in the festival is called Anaconda. It's a comedic short about four new friends who are on their way to Burning Man. On the way to Burning Man, they unexpectedly have to share one hotel room in Reno, and some stuff happens in this hotel room, and there's a comedy of errors. And the lead character, Annie, kind of has to make a decision, and the choices she makes can kind of define her and who she is as a woman, also just as a human being.
Thank you. And Chantel?
Hi, I'm Chantel. My film is called Drift. It's about two people going through the sort of very awkward and emotional end of a relationship.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hi, I'm the writer and director of Cold Call. It's about a businessman and self-styled master of the universe who gets a phone call from a scam artist claiming he has his daughter hostage, and it's about how he deals with that conversation. It's a moment in time film.
Thank you. And Rachel?
Hi, I'm Rachel Jacob. I'm the writer and director of Four on the Mantle. Thank you for having me. It is a story on the topic of miscarriage told through a family lens. There's two couples that are facing a new pregnancy, one for the first time, one with a very long history of dealing with miscarriages. And when another one happens, the family sort of has to deal with tragedy in a whole unexpected new way.
Thank you for sharing that. If you guys could just touch light on what was the process like and how did you come up with your stories? Whoever wants to go.
I can go first.
Thank you.
So Drift was kind of a way of like sort of dissecting what happened in a relationship that I had in the past. It isn't sort of word for word what happened, but it's kind of it was a form of like trying to understand what happened towards the end of a relationship from both perspectives. And you know, it sort of manifests itself as this film. I wanted to make this film because I have this background in mostly nonfiction storytelling, and I really wanted to get my feet wet in narrative. And so I sort of wrote this film as a form of like therapy and figuring out what went wrong in a relationship, and it came together in this piece.
Thank you for sharing that. With the relationship, do you think that there was a possibility, or did you want to go in the direction where they reconciled the relationship?
No, actually, I think what makes this film really poignant is the fact that like there's no returning back to where the relationship might have been, you know, and that to me felt more realistic. Sometimes relationships just end because people are in two very different stages in their life, and they might not be ready to let go of each other, but it's so obvious from the outside looking in that, you know, things should end. So yeah, I wanted to make it very clear that these two people weren't compatible anymore. And they were still trying to hold on to each other, but it just had to end.
Most of the times, the writer usually goes with the direction where everything ends up being, I guess, perfect, and they end up being together. So that was very different from most movies that I watch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in real life, things aren't that
Always like that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And who would like to go next?
I can
I can
go.
go. Oh, nope. You first, Rachel.
You sure? Okay. So I was inspired to make this film because I have had the honor and privilege of walking alongside some close family and friends who have gone through the experience of miscarriage. And just seeing what that experience is like as a person walking right next to them in it, and how taboo this subject still is, and how still no one, including myself, knows how to really react to someone going through this or someone just having gone through this, and that the grieving is so wide in variety. And so while this story is not the story of what my family or friends went through per se, it's more the story of the experiences that I felt that they were going through and that I was going through while watching and observing this and seeing the rawness and the realness, and with the goal being of not to tell anyone how to talk about it or how to grieve through these situations, but just so that it could be like a conversation starter, of like, oh, hey, yeah, we still don't know how to talk about this. I still don't know how to talk about this, but I can show a situation in which something very real is happening. And hopefully people can relate. And I've had what's been interesting is throughout the whole production is I've had a lot of people come forward with their stories once they find out I've been doing that. They would just tell me their whole story with miscarriage, and they'll say, like, I've never told anyone this outside of, like my partner or whatever. And that was fascinating to me about how it just like opened this valve for people to like let out a story they've never been able to share before. So that was sort of the goal with the film. And my inspiration for the style was the film Rachel Getting Married with Anne Hathaway. I thought that style of film lent to this sort of experience because it was very, very raw. I felt like the camera was almost like a person being there, in a sense. So I drew my inspiration for the style from that film.
Thank you. And in the film, there's also like a barbecue, a get together, family and friends. Was there a reason why you added that?
Yeah, so I wanted to show like this happening within like a family situation, because you like usually this does happen, like you have family or friends around. Some people obviously do not, but they're, I would hope that it's, fill in the blank for whatever family you either have or make for yourself. I'm from the South. I'm from New Orleans. So I wanted to show that very like Creole get together style of that's what we do every weekend, which is very, very real and very, very raw. But then like just the subtle tension of the pregnancy announcement happening during like this family moment. I don't know. To me, it brought a lot of, you need a break from the tension that we know is going on. So it was a moment to show like very hopefully what I would like to be conveyed as realness, and like a break from the tension, but also knowing that there's this thing happening, and what happens when that's revealed in this family setting, and how the family reacts, because it also affects extended family members, and we don't even like think about that. We usually think about the woman, but then, you know, we see the father, you know, kind of bait and switch, becoming the protagonist halfway through. And then what goes on in the extended family, and how they help him get through it, or not help him get through it. So yeah.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
I can go next. Wannabe is inspired by real experiences, as I'm sure so many of us have experienced sexual assault both in and out of the industry, and kind of workplace harassment that's treated so differently because it's entertainment industry, which will never make sense to me. But I was presented with kind of a weird challenge because I make mostly teen movies, like mostly comedies. Like I don't really exist in the space where a sexual assault story would happen. And I started wondering why, because sexual assault happens in all spaces. And so I kind of took a risk making a movie that is a mislead, like it starts as a teen comedy and then reveals itself to be something totally not. And I was inspired kind of by the pop music element, because I used to be a pop singer in another life. When I was 14, 15, I opened for Raven Simone of That's So Raven and the Naked Brothers Band, my claim to forever fame. And so the songs you hear in the movie, I actually wrote when I was 16 doing that. And so it's fun finding them repurposed in this film.
That's good to know. And I noticed, like, in the movie, when she like told the other band members, it seemed like they kind of like wanted to continue, like go ahead. Why did you choose to write it that way?
So I think kind of it's the 3-girl group, and one girl really wants them to press forward. And I also think that kind of speaks to, like, not all women have the same point of view. Not all women have the same experience either. And the reality with a situation like this, with an assault or a case like this, is it affects so much more than just you. When you're a part of a society, a community, a family, anything, like if someone gets assaulted in the workplace, can they afford to lose the job? Like people are probably relying on them. And so there's that. But then the other bandmate, I think, has a different point of view, where she tells her, no, it's fine. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it, because of her own experience with growing up being assaulted in her own family. And so it kind of shows how, like, there is no female experience. Like every female is a totally different person with their own experiences and points of view on what is right and the way forward.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I can go next. The inspiration behind Dawn came with, like, it was my first project coming, out of the pandemic. And I was reading the Odyssey and I was like, and I love mythology, and I love how the Greeks personify a nature. And I also love personifying things. So I was like feeling a lot of like helplessness, hopelessness, like about questioning identity and purpose and stuff like that. So I was inspired by kind of like how in this translation of Odyssey, the author describes a new day as like dawn with her red rose fingers. And I was like, oh, I can take that and make it into, personify dawn. So I ended up doing that, and it ended up becoming like a dialogue piece between just her and the woman who runs the Supernatural Rehabilitation Center, where all supernatural beings go to seek company. And so it's really a piece about Dawn just finding, in this process of her not making the sun rise for several days, it's kind of just like how would the earth react, and how is she feeling, and how she feels like a burden to make the sun rise when there's so much bad happening in the world, basically. So it's a really generalized story. It's not really about one specific thing. It's really up to interpretation of why she decided to make the world dark for several days. And by the ending of the film, she makes the sun rise, and whether she's content or not, it's just kind of just like to keep moving, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. And was there a reason that you added the rehab center into the story?
Yeah, because I was trying to think of who I just crafted Dawn first and where she would go. Where would a supernatural being go to seek help or guidance, especially one of her importance to life? And I just created this really funky, kind of like Mother Naturely character who just invites her into her home. It's not really like a therapy session. It's just, oh, you showed up to my home, now let's do some chores that I have to do, but let's talk about what's going on. So I really want it to be like very homey, very whimsical, but just sometimes doing mundane jobs or like chores and stuff sometimes helps with whatever you're going through.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hi. So Cold Call was based on a true story. My dad actually received a call like this a few years ago from a scam artist. And when my dad picked up the phone, all he could hear was a woman screaming and crying. And I think in that intense moment, of course, the human brain goes to the worst possible scenario. So he automatically assumed that it was me. And he was on the call with this guy who was, threatening to shoot me in the head unless my dad wired $50,000 for 6 minutes before he figured out that it was a scam. And so the film is really about that 6 minutes of utter terror where you don't have any power, you don't know what to do, you don't know what's true, you don't know what's real, and how someone can go through that process. And ultimately in the film, I changed some of the aspects of the story. So it's not actually my dad, but someone else. And the idea that he is actually estranged from his daughter. So he has no idea really what's going on. And ultimately through this encounter, he's able to kind of reconnect with her and see what's important in his life again. So a lot of the dialogue is based on the conversation that my dad remembers and what this kidnapper was saying. So
a lot of those calls come through. I had a similar situation, but not as intense as yours. Someone called and said that my sister was in a car accident for me to send them money. But then I realized that they were calling me on my house phone, and I don't use my house phone. So it wasn't as bad as yours. What was your feedback from your father after seeing the short film?
He has a hard time watching it. And I think that, there's like an element of PTSD there because, the fear in that moment that I'm going to be shot or that anyone who we love is going to be shot, like it's so real and it's so visceral. And even if in the back of his mind, he thought this is fishy, there's something wrong about this, the emotion kind of takes over. So it's hard for him to watch. And similar to what some other people in this panel have said in terms of how audiences have responded. There's been a few times where I've had someone say, like, I had a call like that. It wasn't exactly the same, but the film is hard to watch because it just takes you back to that moment. So it's been nice as a director and a writer to know that I think tapped into that emotion a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, awful. Did you think about doing like a feature? And of course, why did you choose to do like a short as opposed to a feature?
I've thought about it. I think that I wanted to just capture that one specific moment, that 6 minutes, as deeply as I could. And it was kind of a challenge to me as a director because I only wrote his perspective. It's just him. He's stuck in a car in LA traffic. And how can I excavate what's happening internally with so many restrictions on what I can do with the camera? And so that was a good challenge for me as a new director. But I do think I could make it into a feature in terms of, going into more of like who are these people who are making these calls? It's a huge operation, and how that works, and the fact that the FBI can't really do anything about it. So I think that there could be a feature, but I wanted to challenge myself with the short.
Oh, okay, thank you for sharing that. And last but not least, Cornelia.
Yeah, Anaconda was or is a story of from true events, and it's my first. I know.
I didn't want to ask you, like,
It is. Well, everyone keeps telling me, or I think we all know, right? Like when you start out as a filmmaker, write about what you know. And I love comedy, and I've always been inspired by women who keep it real and are vulnerable and perfectly imperfect and really embrace that. And I think also during the pandemic, we just needed more laughs and more comedy. So yeah, I I had some stuff that happened to me personally, and I spun off of that and decided to write it. And it's my first film, so it came with a lot of challenges about just learning how to make it work, especially during a pandemic, even though it was towards the tail end. And I mean, it is an absurd comedy, but it also has a message. I think more women need to know that it's okay to just be human. We don't have to be so feminine all the time. It doesn't always have to be so perfect, and we literally are humans, just like men. And yeah, I hope that women watch it and hopefully laugh, but also relate and just relax a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. I
Yeah,
feel like with guys, it's more acceptable when they go
totally.
through that experience. But as a woman, it's like we have these standards. So
Exactly.
that was cool about the film. And I find that a lot of you guys also wrote and directed your films. If you could just tell us what that experience was, and if you would do it again, who would like to go?
I could go. It was really hard. It was, I definitely had like frequent panic attacks before going into the shoot, because it was my first narrative film, and I was doing everything, directing. I wrote it, I directed it, I did all the pre-production, I handled all the paperwork for the actors and all that stuff. But while it was really stressful, it was an incredibly invaluable. Like I learned so much. I understood like fully and thoroughly like what it takes to create a narrative film. So I have no regrets, and it was an incredible experience.
Thank you. And who'd like to go next?
I can go. I would absolutely do it again. Like Chantel said, it's just incredibly rewarding to like tell a story you've been wanting to tell. The only thing I would say is you have to be very careful. Like I'm taking off my writer hat, I'm putting on my director hat, because like there's the movie you wrote, the movie you shoot, and then the movie you edit. And they're always three different movies. And I think I've made the mistake a lot in the past of like, I was the writer on set, and I wouldn't accept what is. I would only accept like what was. And so there's a certain point where I just like put away the script, and I put away all of that and pretended that I was new to the story. And I was like, what needs to happen in this scene? It's not the lines, it's not the minutia. It's like, what is the event of the scene? Like what is literally happening? And I think I've made progress since I first started directing on doing that. And my next project is not one I wrote. It's one I've been brought on to. And so, yeah, I think a fresh challenge is always rewarding, and kind of as we grow as filmmakers.
That's wonderful. Who'd like to go next?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that Josie just said, that there are three different things, and it's really hard to kind of separate those. And it's also a learning curve too. Like as new directors, I think it's important to like give yourself a little bit of leeway. Like it's okay, we're going to make mistakes, but the point is we're going to learn from those mistakes. And I think that was really effective for me in this. It's like the mistake is just an opportunity, and you move forward and you do it again and you do it again and you get back up, and that's just part of the process.
Thank you. And who would like to go next?
I can. I loved it and I hated it. Not really, but and I would absolutely do it again. It's a goal to be able to keep doing that, as well as obviously to be able to direct other people's work as well, but definitely to be able to tell my own stories. I think, from what it's kind of like, I'm echoing the same thing that everyone else has already said. But then there was also a little personal challenge in it as well, because I had I wrote it, I directed it, I'm producing, and I was also acting in it.
That's right.
And I did that about 10 years ago. And I failed miserably. Like the piece is not watchable and whatever. And so I came into it with a little bit of doubt and a little bit of people questioning, some other people who are like, you sure you want to do that? And I would be like, I don't know, like, yes. But then I was like, no, I need to do this for myself and say that, no, I can do this, and I'm going to, whether I fail or I succeed, it's going to be a success because I will have learned more of what I need to do to get to the place where I want to be, where I can do all of these things. Because I don't like the idea that you have to do only one thing. And I think there are more and more women coming out and saying, no, I can do more than just this, or I can take this even further. I can wear several hats. And I think there's something special in the way that we do it, as opposed to how the guys have been doing it for so long. Not that I have a problem with how they do it, but I think that we lend something special in the way that we can just, I think, a little more seamlessly switch hats. So I don't know, I wanted to try it again, and I did.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I like your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, I do too. I love it.
I just noticed that.
Yeah, I had to represent, Yes.
It's great. That's funny.
Yeah, it's very comfortable. Everybody go get one.
Who's next?
I'll just jump in here. I didn't direct my project, but Rachel, I think it's so admirable that you was wearing so many hats in your previous projects, because when I wrote this, I produced it, and I'm also acting in it. And that was a thought of mine. I was like, there's no way I'm directing this as well, because I'm not that ballsy. And I want to be able to show up on set and just focus on acting. But it was also very important for me to have a woman tell this story. So I was very happy when I found a director who I felt I could trust to hand this off to. She really got it. And that was very important for me, to find a director who, speaking of also what you were saying, Josie, about like, okay, I'm taking off my writing hat and now I'm directing. I think that's so important. And also to collaborate with people and women who, I think we can carry many emotions and many things at the same time, which is definitely a gift. But to find a person, especially when you wrote it, that you're like, I trust you, I know that you can tell the story, and now I can just focus on other things, is also very important.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And did I leave anyone out?
Oh yeah, basically what everyone has said. I completely agree. So much of feelings go into writing and directing, and I also was producing as well. And I think I had to relearn how to trust, like my crew so much on like a story that is like that I really, was writing about. And also, I just like. I think I would do it again, but definitely need time to, I feel like, be on other people's sets to study how other, especially women, like direct and produce as well. I really want to learn, but this experience definitely has taught me a lot in what I do need to focus on, or like removing the writer's hat and the director's hat, to focus on one or the other. So I'm really grateful for the experience, but I definitely do need to take time to, I feel like, study other people too and learn from them as well.
And this was your first film?
My first, I guess, like a long film. Yeah, this was a senior thesis project. So yeah.
Okay, great. Do you guys have any goals for your film?
I can jump in and say I would say the goal for this film is to be able to be something that like any sort of like women's group or women's resource center or whatever can use to raise funds or to hold events or what have you, to raise awareness on this topic, and then to be able to provide whatever people need for that type of healing.
Mm.
So that's what I would like after the festival run, and then also just to be in general, like I said earlier, a conversation starter on this topic, so that people can sort of air out their stories and be able to share and know that it's okay.
Thank you. Catherine?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing the film festival circuit now, and I'm so pleased to be able to meet so many wonderful people, like all of you ladies. So that's been really amazing. And also it's been nice to see the reception. It feels really, really good. And I think I already mentioned this before, but yeah, it was a learning opportunity for me, so that I can keep growing as a creator, a writer, a director, and keep, making steps and being able to tell stories that matter to me and are important in a way that's effective.
Thank you. And what about you, Chantel?
Yeah, I mean, I want to try to find a way to have many more eyes on the film. And that includes, having screenings with friends, family, whomever. And yeah, I've been enjoying the festival circuit currently, and hopefully, we'll get as many eyes as we can on it.
Of course. And what about you, Cornelia?
Oh yeah, we're in the film festival circuit now, and I'm having so much fun. I mean, all I want is to make people laugh, and it's so cool to meet other filmmakers. And yeah, I just really wanted to create a film and open that door of becoming a filmmaker. And what does that entail? I'm an actor first, so to make my own project has been really empowering. And now I feel like I've got the bug, and I want to make more and see what else I can do. But yeah, I mean, hopefully get as many eyes on it as possible. We're just starting out, and I'm from Sweden originally, so I'm hoping to get
Oh,
into
nice.
some, yeah, so I'm hoping to get into some Scandinavian festivals. And then I've had a few audience member who've seen it ask me if we're going to make it into a feature because they want to see more. And I mean, I feel like that's the best grade you can get, right? To someone's like, what is happening next? Like, are they actually going to Burning Man? And I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. Making a short has been a huge learning curve, and it's expensive, as we all know. So I'm just like sweating a little bit when I think about a feature. But yeah, it's just so much fun to meet other filmmakers, especially other female filmmakers, and just see where it goes from here.
That's exciting. And what about you, Tatiana?
Yeah, I'm all same as Chantel and Cornelia, really just having fun with like the whole festival run experience and meeting other filmmakers. And this project was really a test to see how I can tap into the fantasy genre, not fully, but like in the magical realism sense. And so I'm really excited just to see, have many eyes on it as possible, and also really just like meeting other filmmakers and stuff. It's all so new to me, so I'm excited.
Oh, that's great. And Josie?
Kind of the same. I'm having so much fun. Kind of my first like festival run with anything. So having fun going around, meeting people, seeing so many films that like I would just never think of, and just having a blast with that. And yeah, I think what I want people to take away from it is kind of reframing like what we think sexual assault is, or the conversation around sexual assault, that it has to be this like, or that it only exists in like really dark, really tragic places. Like it actually exists everywhere and doesn't always have the outcome of like taking them to court. So yeah.
That is true. And if you guys could tell us if you're working on any current projects or plan on working on future projects, and where people can find you, your social media handles or your website, that would be great. Rachel?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Rachel_Jacob_Nola. I am in post-production for another short film, and then I'm in like the early stages of the pre-production for hopefully what is my first feature. So thank you. Yeah, trying so hard. It's like all the things crossed. So that it will be a dystopian fun thriller called Awake in the Woods. And yeah, and I'm just so thrilled to be here. I've loved the vibe of this festival, and it's very cool to meet all of you lovely ladies, and I will be following all of you. So lovely to meet you.
Catherine?
I'm currently pitching 2 pilots out to the industry and putting together a package for a feature film with my dad, actually, is a producing partner. So we've
Nice.
Yeah, we've got some financing attached and a pretty big cast attachment. So that's really exciting. But as Rachel said, you never know when something's going to go. So all the fingers crossed, and we'll see what happens.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Chantal?
I am currently working on a short documentary project, and I am trying to raise funds for my second short film. And yeah, I just want to keep making stuff.
Thank you. And Cornelia?
Yeah, I'm actually making a 180, and I'm acting in a horror film this week, which will be fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I feel like honestly, since it's my first film, it's been a journey, a great one, but also a tough one. So I'm just now starting to jot down ideas, probably a dramedy taking place in Sweden in the woods.
Nice.
With a couple of fun characters. So I'm just writing, getting that on paper, which is exciting to write again. And yeah, I mean, hopefully work in some capacity with all of you wonderful ladies at some point. I mean, it's so cool to meet other female filmmakers and be a part of everyone's journey, right? It's really fun to be part of that. So thank you for such a fun festival.
Do you plan on going back home to shoot your short?
Yeah, Sweden has a lot of good grants and a lot of good funding. So probably, I really like, the seasons in Sweden are beautiful. I live in LA, so that's something I miss. We don't have as many seasons here. But yeah, probably by end of next year, maybe.
Oh, nice. And where can people find you?
Oh, yes. I'm on Instagram, Cornelia Haynes. And yeah, just like my name is spelled. Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah, Cornelia Haynes. That's it.
Tatiana?
Yeah, I am currently revisiting a project that I made like a year ago, finished making a year ago, which is like a smart, really short docufiction, also another like whimsical piece about like memory loss. And I'm hoping to just submit that into festivals as well, just get some eyes on it, but really just for fun. I did it with my family. It's also a pandemic piece as well. And I'm also editing kind of like a documentary. I went back to the Dominican Republic, where my mom's side of the family's from, and there's a farm that my extended family owns. So I really was just filming the farm life in the DR, and so I'm excited. I don't really know where that will go, but I'm excited. The footage looks great, and it was like an amazing experience to stay there for a week and just film. So those are my future projects. But as of now, I'm really just hoping to network and just hoping to meet other filmmakers and actually explore the indie filmmaking world outside of student films. So yeah.
Oh, nice. And Josie?
Can't wait to see that. Filming the farm life sounds so beautiful. I kind of at the same time I made Wannabe, directed a short documentary called Waiting in the Wings that's also on the festival circuit, and it's going to be on PBS on October 27th.
Oh, nice.
So kind of dealing with all things that. And I am producing a short for a dear friend that we start production in like 8 days. So working very hard on that, which should be a lot of fun. And directing a sketch, directing a commercial coming up. And much like Rachel, I'm attached to a feature that is in like the fundraising process. So it's going to be a long road, but we're excited.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us. And of course, your stories. Keep doing what you're doing. The films are online until October 4th. And again, thank you so much. We'll see you online.